All right, all right, all right. Good Thursday to you. And I'm so excited to be coming into the room with all of you this beautiful Thursday. The ice freeze is starting to defrost. I can actually drive on the roads. All is well in the world. This is a powerful bonus session where I get to brag about some of the most amazing human beings on the planet, answer your questions about the 67-day year, and just really open up to share what is going to make the difference from going from where you are now to where you want to be. I'm going to introduce my guests in just 1 second, but I want to welcome some new family members. We call them family members in our world. We now have your back, have your dream, and we're going to help you make that vision come to pass. And so I'm going to welcome Shirlita, Yelena, Jacqueline, Julie, Renee, Rhonda, Amanda, and I know others are joining right now. So congratulations for jumping in the room. We cannot wait to get started with you. So today is one of my favorite days. I get to bring on and brag about the most incredible people doing incredible things. But they're going to rewind the tape a little bit and talk maybe a little about where they were when they started in our world and how quickly things shifted. Now, I am going to also announce a winner because we love giving away things that help you celebrate showing up and going all in. We love those people. We love you that are live here. Yes. So Beth, the link is right above your post there. So www.67dayyear.com. You want to join? I texted those of you who've been live over the last 3 days. It was crazy. Tori and I were talking last night, right, Tori? And I'm like, I want to do something for those of the people that came live. Because I know I'm looking around the room at the panelists that are here today. And when they came in our world, they were there live because it does make a difference. And so I said, I want to do something. We've got another in-person mastermind that's going to come up toward the end of the year in San Diego. And I'm like, let's give those that were there live a free ticket to it. Like, let's let them get in the physical room and the virtual room if they can't travel and give them that $2,000 bonus for free only for those that were there live. So if you were there live on Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday, or today, you have access to that bonus when you join the 67-day year. I know it's crazy, but we love rewarding action takers. In fact, Tammy just got back from our in-person live mastermind. And so super powerful to be in the room. And yes, that goes for all of you who've been on the lives in the last few days. Super excited. Without further ado, I want to invite and welcome 3 gorgeous, incredible women to the stage. So I'm going to go around and introduce each of them. So first of all, we have Tammy Imlay right here. Give a wave. Tammy has been in our world. She started in the 67-day world. She moved into the coaching certification. She has since become a master certified neuro coach with us, and she's also on our coaching team. So she is what we call in our world a lifer, and we love our lifers. We want to help you go from beginning to first success to next boulder to next boulder to next boulder. And Tammy is just an incredible person changing people's lives. And I'm going to let her tell her story. And then we have Michelle in the room. Hi, Michelle. Michelle's, I'd say you're the newest in the room. You've been around for a few months now, and you are now, you've gone from 67-day year and you now are in the certification. And I'm so excited for you for that. And you've had an incredible journey in our world. And I can't wait just to listen to you tell your story again and what you've done and how you're changing lives. I always love it when I look at Michelle and I look behind her. Yes, that is an Emmy. That is an Emmy behind her. Yes, it is. All right, we'll talk about that. And then Annalika, oh my gosh, this woman. I just love this woman so much. We knew each other, I would say from a past life, but that's not true. That's not real. But we were in a virtual mastermind together with Jennifer Allwood, and we got to know each other there. And this woman I call her, I said it to Jen a couple days ago. You're just a movement maker. Like, I've watched you topple things that were getting in your way. And with you doing that, you have literally unleashed, and I'll let you share like how the business is doing and what you're doing now. But it's not just a business, is it, for you? It's a movement, it's a mission that I am so honored just to be, like pushing from behind and seeing you fly. And of course, you also went on to get certified, and you have been really shaking the world up. So I love bringing on people like the three women that are here, because I'm teaching you in our 3 days and through the video series how to shift, and how you were right that there was one missing piece to it all working. And we've unveiled all the knowledge, but now joining 67-day year is how you actually implement the knowledge, right? How you actually move forward. And if we could have done it on our own, we would have done it already. And we call them blind spots for a reason, right? Our blind spots we cannot see, but you know what? That's exactly what the room of the 67-day year is for, is to help you see them, help you remove them, and help you accelerate. But that reminds me, Michelle, of just your journey. So I would love to have you just kind of rewind the tape, and when you walked into our world, kind of what was going on for you? What were you thinking? Like, what was keeping you stuck? Just share a little bit of your journey.
Thank you. And thank you so much for this opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely.
I first heard you speak at Jennifer Allwood's mastermind in Nashville last April.
Yeah.
And at that point in time, you were talking about this mysterious 67 days, how you can compress a year's worth of work in 67 days.
Yeah.
And I thought, I have to know more about this. I'm very interested in compressing time and being efficient. And
Yeah.
if 67 days is going to change my life, like I want to know more.
Yeah.
And at that point in time, the doors had already closed. And so there was not an opportunity at that moment. So I did what any good former journalist would do, and I began stalking you. And so I
Love
was
it.
following you on Instagram and listening to your podcast faithfully every time it came out, and gleaning as much information because I wanted a seat at the table when the next 67 days opened up.
Yeah.
And as soon as the door on the signs, or the sign on the door said now serving next week, I was there and signed up and was at all of the opportunities leading up to joining 67 days, and just drinking those 3 days in. And as soon as Tori popped the website up to join, I was like, I'm in.
Yes.
Where I was particularly at that point, and that was last fall, that was just October.
Yeah.
We're
Crazy.
not talking about years ago. We
Yeah.
literally are talking about 3, maybe 4 months ago.
Mhm.
Stuck in my business, knew there was something more. I am new to the online and entrepreneurial space of about, my business will turn 3 in March. So
Oh,
still infant stages.
yeah.
And knowing that there were a million things I needed to do, but didn't know where to start. Which bite of the million bites of the elephant do I take first?
Right.
And I loved your strategy, if I may call it that, in laying out what's the big goal, and now let's break that into bite-sized pieces.
Mm-hmm.
And and I loved what you said about, if you will do the work, this works. And there's still enough spunk in me that says, if I do the work, this will work. All right. I'll see you. Okay. All right. I'll give it a try. I
Yeah.
don't think it'll work, but whatever. I'll try it. And lo and behold, it works.
Yeah.
It really does. And so within those 67 days, I was able to create a course. That is something I've wanted to have. Did not have that. I created a course. I sold the course, and now post 67 days, I've presented the course live, and it completely changed my trajectory. It got me unstuck. I often would equate it to when we get stuck in the mud, that back tire is stuck in the mud and we hit the gas and the tire just keeps spinning and keeps spinning and keeps spinning. And all we need is someone to come out and just kind of bump us and get us back on the pavement. We fishtail for a second and we speed on. And that's where I feel like I am. This 67-day program was that bump to get me back on the pavement. I fishtailed a little bit and now I've sped on. And it was just life-changing, worth the investment. I am worth the investment. And what I learned and took away in those 67 days has completely changed the game.
Talk a little bit about, and first of all, congratulations. You know, I've said this to you, but can we just pause for a moment? Like 3 months ago,
Yeah.
had a course, you wanted it, launched it, sold it, is now doing launches with it, is seeing momentum. So exciting to change that trajectory and know that it's possible. During the journey, did you have any of those brake pedal beliefs pop up? And then just, I'd love for you to share that part of the journey, because sometimes it's taking away what is stopping it, as well as having the process to move it forward. And so was there anything specific that was trying to block you that we were able to work through the matrix and move out of the way?
100%, because this is something I've never done before. And so there was a tremendous amount of resistance. And that's really where I leaned in heavily to the brain priming, to the mind matrix, to working through even some beliefs as a child. My parents were entrepreneurs, and there came a point in their journey where it was necessary to close their business, the mom and pop shop. It came time for it to end. And I realized that some of my beliefs from that situation were not true, but were stumbling blocks for me. And so I had the tools now, or have the tools now, to maneuver around that, maneuver past it and get back on the freeway.
Amazing. And a lot of people have been in my DMs and they've been asking me like, okay, the methods I get, and I really want to know those methods. This is so normal for a high performer. Give me the strategy and tactic of this, right? And that we do. But then it's like, how powerful was the coaching in that process? Like being able to get coached when you have those moments and be able to move. Would you say that it brought you through it faster?
Without question.
Yeah.
The accessibility, the level of access and accessibility that was provided was clutch. There was a brief moment where at the time I was going through, there were a couple of options, and one of the options did not include accessibility. And my brain was very much, you can do this on your own, you can handle it. Yet there was a voice that said, how about we go ahead and lean into an opportunity to have some guidance, some further guidance, some access, some help with a team, with people who have gone before you, so that you aren't left to your own devices. And having the accountability, having the coach like Tammy was my coach, having her there gently prompting, what are you working on? What are your pebbles? What are your rocks? Where are you? How are you in your boulder crushing? That was clutch. I am so grateful that I had that. And I would encourage anyone who thinks that they might be able to do it on their own. Yeah, you might can, but you know what? It's so much easier when you've got a community of people around you and they are right there, and your coaches are encouraging other team members who are in the boat with you. You guys are all rowing together and they are encouraging you. And it's just a completely different experience when you've got your cheerleaders there right alongside of you. I would absolutely encourage being a part of that.
Yeah. And it's a powerful thing when we actually put our vision out in the world and then to have a whole community come around you and believe in it as much or sometimes even more than you do, right? It's really a powerful room to be in. And most of us high performing entrepreneurs, right, Angelica, it's like we don't have like our whole world, our inner circle, our family and all that, knowing what the heck we're doing. And so like just having that ability to row next to sisters and brothers that are going for big things in the world really shifts everything. I'd love for you to jump in and just share a little bit about your story in our world and kind of what you're doing now and like where you were when you started and what's happened since then. Your business has really taken off, which I'm just so excited for you. But more excited was seeing you in the very beginning and seeing how frustrated you were and watching you go from that to where you are. So I'd love for you. She's a master storyteller. So I'm going to just let her tell that journey for her.
Yes.
Oh, that one's to Angelica.
I'm so sorry.
That's okay. That's all right.
Yeah. First of all, thank you, Shannon, for having me here. And it's really a delight to be here and welcome everybody. So Dr. Shannon and I, as she said, we were in a prayer group with Jennifer Allwood and some other high performing entrepreneurs. And Dr. Shannon at that time had basically it was like a goal setting course. I forgot the name of it. Forgive me. It's retired now.
Yeah.
And I started taking the course and I was like, oh my gosh, this is like how I set goals, but there was the brain science with it.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, wow. I said, okay. And I was like, okay, and then certification came up and I joined certification. Really where I was at that time was really getting over a lot of mental roadblocks.
Yeah.
And what I like to call brain deliverance. What you learn inside of 67-day year, inside of coaching, inside of Dr. Shannon's world is really what I like to call deliverance for the brain. My brain needed some deliverance. We know of soul deliverance and spirit deliverance, but our brains need the deliverance. And I was just kind of in this rut of understand I'm a Black woman, I'm a Hispanic woman, I'm a descendant of slaves, I'm a first generation born immigrant, and all of those things around me. And here I am trying to build a business. Not so much, I don't even look at those as obstacles, I look at those as opportunities, but really trying to figure out how do I build this? No one in my family has ever done this. Sure, there are other women that look like me building things, but in the way that I really wanted to build it, I couldn't see it. I was also a homeschooling mom of 5. We've graduated 1. So I'm kind of in a whole nother world where most of the women around me they don't care about building anything. They're delighted with being homemakers and there's nothing wrong with that. That's fine for them. But I couldn't relate to them. And my husband is a 1,000% supporter, but he wasn't in the grind with me with building. And so stepping into Shannon's world opened up my brain to what was possible. Like the vision God had been showing me since as far as I can remember. And then saying, oh, it's the brain stuff. It's the mind. Like mindset seems like this weird conceptualized thing over here. And you brought it in and made it practical for us. I mean, even what I learned, this is going to sound really strange. The summer of certification, I used StepDar and what we learn inside of Dr. Shannon's world to relearn how to swim.
Oh, wow.
As an adult.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
And so,
cool.
everything that's here is just, it's so key. And I know you think you can do it on your own, but I'm telling y'all you can't. You need to be in a community of other people. You need to be around other people that aren't going to judge you for maybe the weird thoughts that you're having or the obstacles or the roadblocks that you face. And especially being an entrepreneur, it's a lonely world. I mean, it just is, you know?
Yeah. And then the world is much set up that you have to pretend, oh, everything's fine. Business is fine. It's all, and on the back end, it's like, there's stuff happening and So we actually believe in the real world and really what's happening and getting over blocks that come up for everybody at 6, 7, 8. It's all different. And so what's happened in your business now that you've been coached through our models and methods, and then you of course went on to get certified to be able to coach through them. But tell me like a little bit about what's gone on in your business since then.
Well, for one, I guess the biggest thing, we had a $400,000 year last year. We essentially doubled our revenue from the previous year.
Yeah.
Our membership size has doubled. And then I've been able to take the coaching tools because I'm certified and teach those to my students. And so we have something called the Holy Thought Work Bootcamp, where I literally run them through StepJar, through scripture, through prayer. And that's been wild and radical, seeing the transformation in their lives. I teach my family StepJar and walk them through, even my kids. And even from a business perspective, I'm going to tell y'all this. Before the $400,000, before the doubling in revenue, I have brain crimes on my phone that I listen to in the morning and I listen to at night before I go to bed. I run StepDart in a notebook. When Dr. Shannon talks about your 7-figure identity, I have my $5 million woman identity and who she is. That is a brain prime on here. And I run StepDart through every single line of that. There's over 100 things that this woman is. That's amazing. And it's like what Michelle was saying, you have to put in the work. You can't be passively doing this work. You have to be massively and actively participating in this work and willing to embody the work and willing to trust in the work. And also being really self-aware, I think is one of the great things that has happened too, is the self-awareness that starts to happen where you're onto yourself. You're like, you see your brain like freaking out about something or wanting to go down in the dumps. And you're like, no, what does the $5 million woman do? What does she say? How does she behave? How does she self-correct? How does she, tap into the Holy Ghost, whatever it is. The tools are what I like to call a blend between science and spirit, and it comes together.
Yeah, it really, really does. Everybody's like, what are those tools? Don't worry, the tools are inside 67-day year, and you will get very familiar with them and they will become your best friends. But we don't ever do it on the front. And you've learned a little bit about matrix and brain priming, but I love your journey so much because I got to watch. This is from my perspective as your coach. I got to watch you go from knowing you were called, like that you came in the room with, like, I know I'm called, but I watched you move from knowing it, like a head knowledge of knowing it, to like literally embodying it to the marrow of your bones, where if you did not, I always think about the scripture when it comes to you, like if you did not get up that day and serve your tribe, like the rocks would cry out, because like that's how called you were and are, and the lives that you're changing, and the narrative or the story shift that I believe you're providing in the marketplace. When you said like, there are plenty of people who look like me, but they didn't have my life. And like I said, I did a lot of this with the homeschooling of the kids because I believe there's extra crowns in heaven for that. I wish I had that, right? And so, but being able to be the representative and the voice in the wilderness crying out, this is the way, walk in it, right? And so I'm just so proud of you. And I know we've talked about you doing masters and continue on and just being in our world, but we just want to celebrate what you've done. And it started by saying yes, right? Both Michelle and Annalika, it started by saying, you know what? I've done all the things I know how to do strategically, and something is still not working. And you just saying, okay, like, what if this is the piece? And I love, Michelle, the way you said it, because you're like, let me just see about this, and that's okay. I don't mind you walking in the room that way, because I walked in the room that way. And so I get it. But what happens when you do become unleashed? This is some of the stories that you're hearing of Michelle getting that course out and selling it and finally going, and Alika, like, yes, her business, you watch her. She's going to be on the like Forbes list just coming up because she's not slowing down. Like, right. That's a prophetic word. I don't know where that came from. So, well, I do, but so like, she's not slowing down, and how that is being able to see the blind spots, remove them, build that prime. They all had their prime, something we do right away inside the 67-day year, and then coaching you through that 67-day year method so your brain doesn't keep working against you. I love the brain deliverance. Like, I'm going to see that in my mind from now on. It's so good. Thank you for sharing your story. It's amazing. And at either time, we'd love for you guys to stay for some questions if people have questions for you, but don't feel free. Like, if you have to go, you have to go. That's okay. I honor you for coming and honoring all these amazing people that are here live. Tammy, how are you, my darling? I got to hug her neck like less than a week ago. So excited to see you in person, and love what you're doing, how you're changing the world. And how long have you been in the community now at this point?
I think since 21,
Yeah.
I think.
That
It
was
was before, it was when it was Epic Success
right.
and not 67 days.
Yep.
But I didn't do Epic Success. When I jumped right into NC, like I am, and that's part of my story. I'm like, I want to know how to do things. I want to just tell me what to do and I'll do it, which is part of my upbringing. Grew up in a military family, joined the military myself, and very much, follow the path, and you'll do great things. And what do you know? Entrepreneurship is not like that. Like, first of all, you you blink and all of a sudden the path is fuzzy and you don't know which way to go, or there's squirrels, shiny objects. And I was looking, I was a coach. Prior to that, I'm a trained therapist, because again, I want to know how to do things. How does the brain work? And someone sent me your podcast. It was like, hey, I think you would like this. And I was like, I need this. And again, the NC program, it was already closed. Yeah. But I reached out and I was like, hey, I need in this. And they're like, okay, well, let's do a interview and see if you're a good fit. And next thing I know, I got invited in, and just haven't looked back since. Yeah. So 67 days, it's amazing what it can do. And one of the reasons why I just wanted to share, like, if you'll let me, from like two perspectives.
Absolutely.
I'm going to start with the perspective as a coach. So I've been coaching for a few rounds, and we have some amazing coaches in 67 days. To watch people enter the world, enter the neuro coaching, enter 67 days for the first time, coming with those same thoughts of, okay, just tell me what to do and I'll do it. Just tell me show me the path and I'll go. And to watch them, when they start to hear what it is, they're like, oh, this is not what I signed up for. Oh, what is this? But I'm still intrigued. And to watch that, to watch them, so a light bulb goes on and they're like, okay, this is my moment to go all in. And you see them like soar. Yeah. And it happens over and over. Like, Michelle, I love you dearly, but she is not a unique butterfly here. And just like, none of us are. Like, you follow the path in it and you do what you know to do. You follow what your brain prime tells you. You follow what the matrix shows you. You follow those steps that we love, but you get into the who you're being more than what you're doing. And like, those chains are like broken. The chains of that holding you back are broken. So watching it from the coach's perspective is phenomenal. And it shocks me every time how many people destroy their boulders while they're there, and which it shouldn't shock me, but it does. Like, it's just so amazing to see. And now I'm going to switch to my hat, and as a coach, and as an entrepreneur, we think that it's, once we get that direction, that way of going, we're like, okay, we're set for life. Like, let's just go. Yeah. And in every round of 67 days, I uncover a thought that I'm like, oh, okay, well, this is the one that's stopping me now. Let me go ahead and rewire that. And
Mm,
even at the in person,
yeah.
I identified my thought that's actually holding me back. And it's one that when I first started coaching, I had success instantly. And it was amazing. And then I got burnt out because I ran my coaching practice like I did my therapy practice.
Yeah.
And fast forward like 3 years, and now I'm like, why am I not able to break this? I'm finding success. I was able to be an internationally known speaker now. Like I got to speak at a stage in Belgium. I haven't told you this yet, but I've been invited to write in a collaborative book that's coming out at the end of the year.
Oh, that's awesome.
Like these things that are happening because I visioned them, who am I being in the moment? It's not about what I'm doing. It's like, okay, what would future Tammy thank you for versus future Tammy can deal with that later. Like I will just get through this now. That switch helped so much. But it's also when I recognize that now I'm excited about this next 67 days because I am going to, like, I've already taken it through the matrix and this is the thought. And it's if you start getting more clients, if you start up leveling again, you're going to get burnt out. I also homeschool, which it was, I don't have 5 kids to homeschool. I have 2 teenagers that are enough for me.
That's like 5.
They are.
Each teenager counts for 3, so I don't know maybe what that makes for you, Angelica. Maybe.
I don't know. Yeah, it's crazy, but the fact that I can, and again, like Angelica, I'm teaching my kids this. We do a co-op and I talk to the teenagers. I'm like, okay, well, because they're like, everything's so hard. And I'm like, oh, is it? And I get to go in and help them see that our brains are stopping us. And I get to see daily that my brain is stopping me. And it's allowed me to grow so much personally and in my business. And I have the business that I want, which also is another realization. It's like, no, I'm actually creating the life and business that I want.
Right.
And I get to do that every day. So it's been a magical journey in that you do have steps to follow. It's not all the woo, like a lot of people say. You have a path. It doesn't look like what you're expecting. And I'm so grateful because if it was just another do this, get this, do this, get this, oh, shiny object, go learn that, it wouldn't be as powerful as it is.
Yeah.
So in the nutshell, like that's it.
And I've watched Tammy level up again and again and again and again. And I've watched her business shift and change. She went from not really having clients to a lot of one-on-one clients to group and like she's now speaker. So it's so funny because as you get used to this being in this world, in this community, it's just normal to achieve things. Like it's normal. And we don't even realize, but we do bake in the celebration. So you do realize like how much has happened. But I would love to lob a couple questions at you guys. So this is what I hear a lot when people are making the decision to join. So and one of the things is like, because I love sharing a lot of like your stories and testimonial stories and those kind of things, because, I'm sharing the process, but I'd rather them hear through other people what they've experienced. And usually what I'll hear is like, I see that it works. Like you've shown me so many people and so many different people. And I'm just curious on the live, like in this conversation, who's resonated with you in your own personal story, right? Because we're all very different. That's the beauty of the 67-day year is it's not a cookie cutter program. The method is how your brain does things, but what your background is, who you are, your stories are what make it what it is. And then we get to coach that. But so in the chat, tell me like whose story resonated with you and why. So while I'm saying this question, but a lot of times they'll be like, but what if it doesn't work for me? Like, what if I'm the one, because I've tried everything that everyone else, I've bought a million courses, there's course shame, right? Because I tried all this stuff that every person said. So I see that it works, but what if I'm the one that it doesn't work for? I'm just curious. I'm not going to like, whoever wants to answer that. Like, I'd love to hear what you would say to that person. And feel free to put questions in the chat too. Anybody
That
want to handle that one?
that was my attitude when
Yeah.
I signed up. I was
Yeah.
like, all right, whatever. I mean, you're promising an awful lot here. This is going to work, and I'm not going to need another strategy, or I'm not going to need to buy another course. And you called my bluff.
Yeah.
Because again, doing the work and that was key. And you were very forthcoming with that.
Mhm.
If you're not going to do the work, then you're not going to get the results.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is black and white. There's no gray here. So, but I thought, well, I'll prove her wrong. I'll do the work, and we'll just see if we get the results. And darn it all, we did.
We did. I actually got what I wanted. Yeah, I'm really
fantastic.
Yeah. And what she's talking about is our conditional, we call it implementation guarantee. So we say we don't, and I'm just going to be real, I do not guarantee any results for people who don't do the work. Like, it is a program that you've got to follow the steps for. But if you're willing to go all in, like Michelle was, and willing to trust the process and willing to do, like, show up, do the work, come live, get the coaching, that's when the magic happens. And that's what we do. Like, if you implement everything, right now it's 100%, right, guarantee for that. And so people are like, well, why do you do that? I'm like, because really, like, if you're not going to actually want to shift yourself, then it's wasting your money, right? But if you're like, no, I've done everything everybody else has said, like, I know this is it. I've been getting a lot of those messages, like, this is it. I know this is it. Then you get to do something you haven't done in a long time. And I know Michelle and I have had this conversation. You get to actually start to trust yourself again. You get to like have that part of you, which I call the knowing, right? That was in video 5, like the knowing that, like, God called it, he provides for it, but you've got to move the stuff out of the way that's getting in the way of it. Right. And so that's part of the process. And then you got to not put your brain in a place that it wants to run and hide in the hills and not let you have it. Right. And so really, really important to think through that. Like, how much do you actually want things to change? How much do you really want it to grow? Like, some of you were saying, I've been working on this for 10 years, 7 years, 2 years, right? How much do you actually really want it to happen? And when are you ready to say, I'm going to stop saying I want it to happen, and I'm going to actually make it happen? And I'm going to actually do this so that it works now. And then I grow to 6, 7 and on, right? And you're hearing every one of these people in different places, but that same journey, right? The same journey. So I love that answer, Michelle. Thank you. Because I want to be real. Like, this is real life, right? Real life is we're trying to grow something, or maybe we don't even know what we want to grow yet, but we know we're called. A lot of people come in with that. Like, I was talking to somebody today about that, and I'm like, you know what? You feel called, but you just such unclearness around it, right? Such confusion. And it was never intended to be like that for you. But yet, I'm not going to go into teaching. I taught a lot about that over the last few days of why that happens outside in, right? And then, of course, if you're called, of course, there's going to be confusion thrown your way to take you off that calling. 100%, right? A confused mind doesn't actually step in and help the people that you're called to help. And so, but we have this tool that enables you to unleash that. But you got to start to trust that still small voice again. Start to trust that knowing and start to say, you know what? What if this changes everything? What if this is that I get to put the pin in the map? That's what I always tell people. Put a circle or an X or like something on the calendar when you said yes to joining 67-day year, or like Tammy went all in and just said, I want to be in certification, which is great. That's you and you're joined. DM me, we'll move you into that. You get 67-day year as part of that process. So I love that, because you just really can finally say, I knew it. I knew this is what I was going to be called to do. You start to look back at what you did in the past with such compassion, just because it was small things that were getting in the way. All right, here's the other question. Well, this sounds good, but like, so it's always that interesting, like, but is there business coaching involved in this? Because I got to grow my business. Like, is there business coaching involved with this? But how you think, your mind creates your actions, right? It's not your actions don't create your mind creates your actions. And so, yes, we are business coaches. That's one thing I had somebody say, are you a business coach? Yes. My job is to help you get to launch, start 5, 6, 7, wherever you're headed. And I've been there. But you're the creator of your thoughts, and your thoughts create your automations, and that creates your actions, your decisions, actions, and results. Part of STEPDAR, which is part of the model, which you'll learn when you're in the inside. So I'd love for you guys to just touch on that, like how this culmination of brain-based wiring and business coaching comes together. And maybe, Tammy, that's a good one for you to field since you're coaching in our world.
Yeah. So the one thing that we have to remember is that we are not humans and then a business owner. We're not a mom and a business owner. And many people, you have a day job as well as building a business. Like we have so many hats. And if you put it in one lane and say, I'm only going to do it this way, the strategy and this, and the other 2 or other 3 hats fall, then do you have a life? Like we're building a life, not just a business. And I think that was the difference for me, is realizing that I can't compartmentalize. Again, being military, it is when you're, on duty, you're on duty. When you're, everything's compartmentalized. And so that's how I was running my life. And I was tired and I was overworked and nothing was working. Even the, parenting was stressed because my mind was always in another hat.
Yeah.
And so with this, it's unique in that we combine them all together.
Yeah.
It is, you can't have a successful business and your life be falling apart. You can't think great things about your business and not have a better self-esteem. And so that's the difference, is that we look at it in a holistic way. And it's beautiful because a lot of your thoughts, you don't even realize that what's stopping your business from growing is a thought that you had that you caught when you were like 4 or 5 years old. And it's just something that your brain was like, ooh, this keeps us safe. Well, that's the kind of things we unpack. And then it's like, well, of course I don't want to make a lot of money. My uncle said the guy down the street who has a lot of money is a mean man and steals from the hardworking Americans. It's like, well, if you have that thought, then you're going to stop yourself.
Yeah.
So this is why, having an exclusive business coach is one thing. And if you've tried that, why hasn't that completely worked for you?
Yeah.
And it's because of the thoughts that are seeping into our personal life. So that's why, yes, there is some business coaching. We will guide you. And honestly, it's more asking you the questions to guide yourself, because you really know the business you want, instead of, telling you exactly how to do it, because we want you to be different. That's the beautiful thing, is every one of the amazing people who have been through this, their business looks completely different. And we're following the same steps, and we're getting the results that we need, and not the ones that so-and-so is getting, because those are the ones that work for my life. And so, yeah, it's a holistic, it's not either or, you have to have an and there.
Yeah. Love that so much. And then I was also thinking about the fact that, and Michelle, you did say it, like a 67-day year, like I can really accomplish a year and compress it to 67 days. Right. So I'd love for you to talk about, like, and you did, like, and I don't want you to go into the process because we'll teach that inside the program, but more so like, what kind of freedom did that create in your mind, in your momentum, like knowing that you weren't a tug of war anymore with your brain, and it was actually starting to help you accomplish things because of how we set up your business goals, right? How you actually separate them and actually get them down to your daily action steps. You're never confused about what to do, right?
You aren't. You know exactly which bite of the elephant, so to speak, to take. And when you realize the way that it's broken down is not threatening, and it's not overwhelming. And in my mind, I went from being so overwhelmed that I froze and didn't do anything to thinking, oh no, I didn't think far enough as to what's next. Like I already hit my goal. Fabulous. Now what's next?
Now what's next? Yeah.
I didn't write down what was next because I thought it was going to take so long
Yeah.
to get to that course and get it written, get it launched, get it out into the world. And when that was done by Thanksgiving, you know, from Halloween to Thanksgiving, give or take a week or two.
Yeah.
And then it was, oh, I get to dream again. Okay.
Yeah.
Now what do I want to do? And it was as much personal growth as it was business growth as well. And really just having the idea of I really can do what I put my mind to and anything I want to do.
Yeah.
I've got the tools to be able to do that, including having one of the most, in my precious 2 short little years, I doubled my income and had an incredible, outstanding year for 2023, which wouldn't have been possible if I hadn't done the 67 days, because then I would not have done the course. The course would not have gone out in the world. People would not have seen it. They would not have bought it. It would not have helped other small business and online businesses. Like the trickle down effect, if I hadn't done 67 days, is it could bring me to tears because of the lack of impact that would not have happened.
Oh, I love that. And it's just exactly what I was going to ask all the way around the room. I would love for each of you, and I'll start with Angelica, like, what would you say to the person that's on the fence right now? That wants, dreams, has vision, wants to create legacy, wants to create generational shift, maybe has been thinking about it for 2, 5, 7, 10 years, but she's telling herself, I'm on the fence. I would just love to hear, just from your perspective, what you would say to them.
I would say this, kind of resonating with what Michelle said, about you hit your goal and you're like, oh, wait a minute, I wasn't ready to hit it so soon. I don't know if you all watched the Masters in 2012 when Bubba Watson when Bubba Watson won. And he made this statement that was so profound with me, and it stuck with me since that time. He said, I never got that far in my dream, because they were asking him, how does it feel to win? And he was like, I never got this far in my dream.
Wow.
And if you want to be able to say that, I never got this far in my dream. And in other words, you're like, your life, you're living a life that's a reality that's further than anything you've ever dreamed. Anything you've ever thought or imagined is now your reality. And if that brings you to tears, you should join.
Yeah.
You should just straight up join, because it's looking around like, I'm living something that I didn't even dream about. Wasn't on the horizon. It wasn't on my list. It's like, whoa. And to be living in that, and to be in that surreal place that you almost have to literally pinch yourself. Like, join for that. Join for the fact that you need to be an example of what's possible to someone. There is somebody watching you, be it a child, be it a spouse, be it, a sibling, a coworker, somebody's watching you to be an example of what's possible. And if you're saying, I don't know, then there's some blood that's going to be on your hands, because you were supposed to be that example for somebody, for what's possible. And there's things that you're leaving on the line. There's a generation of folks that came before you that could not accomplish what you can accomplish, just because the day and time that they lived in, access to resources, technology, whatever. And you're right now here in this earth to carry that legacy, to kind of, I'm not even going to say pick up where they left off, but to be the embodiment of your foremothers or your forefathers. And Like that to me is reason enough to join and to say yes. And then not just say yes, but come inside and do the work.
Yeah. Yeah.
Give it your all and
Yeah.
then watch what happens.
Oh my gosh, I've got goosies from head to toe because that statement, I am so, yeah. What happens if you're living more than your dream? That's so, so powerful. Great reason to jump in today for sure. Tammy, same question. I would love to hear your perspective of what you would share for that person that's on the fence right now.
So if you are at all overwhelmed, if you have a dream, and again, I wasn't even dreaming big enough either. There's grief and trauma in my past. And so that dream button, that dream part of my mind kind of was dimmed for a really long time. And if you're ready to have true freedom in your life, because I know most of you on here it's because you have a call to serve. You have a call that's beyond you. But what it does for you personally as well, it's worth every cent of the investment in the time, the resources that you have to use. But honestly, it is life-changing. You will not see the world the same way after you've gone through it. Okay. You will not see your possibilities the same way after you've gone all in. And one of the first questions that you asked Dr. Shannon was about, like, if it doesn't work for me. And as a coach, I've seen it not work for a few people. And when we got curious with them, it's because they were not open to possibilities. Like they weren't willing to do the work that this process asks. And it's so hard because as a coach, I see what's on the other side of it.
Yeah, you see so much.
As a person in the same shoes, I can see what's on the other side of it, and I want you to see it as well. And you won't until you tell yourself that you're worth it, and then I'm just going to give it a shot. I'm going to do what she says. I'm going to try to prove her wrong. Like, go in with that mindset if you need to, because you're going to prove to yourself how amazing you are and how the God calling, that secret dream that God put on your heart is really there. And it's not selfish to explore it. It's actually the most serving thing you can do is step out and be who God called you to be. And so if you are considering it, do it. Just go all in, give it one round and commit to the work, and then see. And you will never be the same again. That I can promise you. So.
Oh, love that so much. I love that so much. Oh my goodness. All right, Michelle, same question for somebody that's sitting on the fence that's like, okay, like I see it, but maybe I just don't know. Like, we have conversations about money. That's why we're having the conversation on Monday about wiring yourself for wealth and for winning, because it's really important to understand that your mind is creating the money. The mind is creating the results, the actions that are going to get the results. But right now they have the opportunity, right? They have these incredible live bonuses on the line, tickets to the San Diego Mastermind, so many great bonuses waiting for them to join. What would you say to her that's on the fence right now?
I would say that you are in this room for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
You've shown up live and or on replay for a reason. You're interested, you're curious, you've pricked your heart. It's pricked your heart. I am a firm believer that we are here for such a time as this. Yeah. The world needs our message. The world needs the business that we are creating, the products that we are creating, the services that we are creating. We are worthy. And I would say that if you are on the fence, and particularly if the financial component is what is tripping you up, of all the programs and of all the courses that I've purchased, did I make my money back immediately after joining 67 days? No, I didn't. But what I did do is I have learned all the tools, and that money is coming back now. It was not overnight. It was not immediate, but I am getting that return.
Yeah.
And it's a commitment, and you've got to be committed. And I believe that you are committed, or you wouldn't be here right now. So your hands may be shaking, you may be sweating, you want to click on it, you want to go ahead and purchase it, go ahead. It's okay. You can dip your toe in. We're going to go ahead and drag you into the deep end of the pool, but we're going to be with you every step of the way. Yeah. Go ahead and do it. Believe in yourself and trust yourself, because in your gut's saying, come on, sign up, just do it. Yeah. Go ahead. It's okay.
Yeah. Oh, good. All right, Tammy, Angelica, Michelle, thank you. And it's just an honor to be able to coach in your world and to be able to watch you fly. It's the joy of my life. It is my calling to be that for you. And so thank you for being in the community, being the most amazing women on the planet. And thanks for sharing your hearts today. Can you guys give them some love in the chat? Thanks for your stories. Thanks for where you're going. And thanks for staying in and changing people's lives. Look, if it's wrong for you, I will tell you that. I will absolutely tell you that. And I have told people that, like, nope, this is not for you right now. But if it's right for you, I am going to be the biggest advocate for you saying yes to yourself. So text me, DM me with any questions that you might have. Re-watch the series over the weekend. So the page you need, you only need one page because you can get to both replays through it, is unleashedentrepreneur.com. That's where the video series is. There's a button to watch these live replays. You can get to it right from that page. I will see you. Go out and be the creator of your thoughts, because your thoughts create your future. All right. Bye for now.